Greetings everyone, my name is Natterville, and welcome back to my Let's Play of Mega Man Maker. In this weekly morning livestream, as usual, I'll be covering a combination of both Veersmith levels and some other levels I found online for the next 2 hours, primarily focusing on the former. And afterwards I'll be showcasing some art on the server. Now, if you've been paying attention to my Discord announcements or just the YouTube socials, you'll know that starting from February 16th, I'll be taking my annual 1-month vacation from streaming. Do not worry though, I'll still be posting videos on a weekly basis, but it'll be diminished, like about 3 or 4 per week. And I will be premiering longer videos as needed. Happy Valentine's Day to everybody. So welcome to the stream Tailmaniac, Sunflora, Jedok, Lepadio, Mike Gaming, Popcorn Master 4567, Jaden, and all the lurkers, as well as anyone else who I missed. Thanks for coming. Happy Valentine's / Single Awareness Day. So let us begin with this stage, Infernal Depths by Sunflora Azumarill, 41 plays and a score of 16. Why so earlier in the year? Well, as you've been noticing, for those who've been paying attention, the schedule this year early on has been kind of crazy, so this was really the only time I could solidify one. Plus, I'm gonna still be available on a somewhat basis. I just won't be able to stream. And the other part of the reason why I take a 1-month vacation from streaming is so that I can recharge my batteries, especially for certain fan content, because if I don't, I realize I tend to become too harsh and snappy, more so than when I should be. It's a way to recharge my batteries for that. Oh no. Alright. You know what that means. Ah, okay. Haha, problem solved. Could have also used a super arrow, but the needle cannon barely gets any action anyways. I saw you. And this time, I'm actually gonna try getting all the weapons. Oh no. One of the rocks was glowing a different color. Ah. Ah, Vivid Lope, yeah. That's also on my to-play list eventually. We'll see. Yeah, I think the other characters would have an easier time. I mean, that was suspiciously on the left. I didn't even initially see that because I don't really watch the PlayStation reveals. Again, I mostly pay attention to just the... Again, if you know me, I don't really pay attention to the big AAA stuff. I may just pay attention to the indie stuff. This is why I watch stuff like the F3 or Kami Games Summer of announcements or the Steam Next Fest announcements. Those are much more up my alleyway. Oh no! It's slowly rising. Like, don't get me wrong, there's a lot of exciting stuff at the State of Play in other showcases like Xbox or Nintendo Directs, but for me at least, I don't really pay much attention to them because I focus more on the indie stuff. I'm just a bit sad. I'm just a bit sad that more people, at least here, don't really discuss those. I didn't... kind of blended in with the background there. Nintendo and Indie Worlds are also kind of that too. It doesn't always help. It doesn't always help that there are sometimes played at inconvenient times for me, so I have to watch them in post. I said this multiple times. Never mind. I say it's a bit sad, but I understand why sometimes, but... Hey, at least more indie stuff is discussed over on, for example, the Magmo community and Sage / SFGHQ. It's just that, like I said, there may be a lot of cool stuff in the AA, well, mainly AAA sphere, but there are other channels who better cover it, and at this point in my life, I want to focus more on indie stuff. After all, there are way more indie titles coming out, and they usually have the luxury to experiment more. Take that, Ben K. This looks like a job for the Tango Marine. Close one. I probably could squeeze into the right side, but I don't want to risk it. Yeah, not a transition point. Alright, so here's the schedule for what's essentially the last 2 days of streaming before the vacation. Right now is regular Maker levels. Tonight will be the coverage of Tedley's level pack, Mega Man, Hermione's attack. I would have preferred Revenge, but that's what they went with, so Revenge it is. Darn it. The owls are becoming my biggest enemy here. And then tomorrow morning will be the sampler of the demo of the in-development Mega Man X fan game. Rarity, actually. Mega Man X Viral Nightmare, which I am very curious about considering how it's basically a very opinionated remake. Oh cool, now Beat Betrayed. Not exactly Betrayed, but what have you. And then Sunday morning, I'll be sampling the demo of Mega Man X Viral Nightmare. A very interesting reimagining of Mega Man X6, and from what I've seen, it's very interesting. Do I think it's going to be as good as Project 06? I don't know. That'll remain to be seen. I mean, if you know me, you know that X6 is my least favorite X game, so... On one hand, it's going to be difficult. On the other hand, well... There are plenty of easy avenues to make it better. And heck, I want to reiterate, we're actually getting an X game that actually is going to be released. The last time that happened was X8 Demake. Or should I say, excuse me, X8 16-bit edition. Oh gosh. It is time for my tanks. What if he goes on here? Will he perish? Can't risk it though. Fireman, you've been defeated. Well, you have about 2 hours. Let me put it this way. Okay, you can release 6 stuff with aerial direction influence. And stuff. Yeah, very solid start to the stream. I fumbled more than I should have. If I was playing as a ranged character, they would have an easier time, but otherwise... It was still perfectly doable with roll. Decent. You have about 2 hours, Mike. Okay, let me put it this way. I did not like X6, nor did I like X7. The difference is, though, even if I found X7 to be a bit more enjoyable than X6, I still don't consider it to be a good game. Far from it. It needs many fixes. Hang on a moment. Like, both of them are shoddy experience. I think both of them are really shoddy experiences. It's just that but one I was having anti-fun, so to speak, and the other one I was mostly bored. But I will see tomorrow. Because I know how the reception of X8 16-bit was mostly positive, but amongst X8 fans it was a bit more complicated. To be fair, X6 doesn't... the number of X6 fans I know I can count on one hand, whereas with X8, it actually had a lot... At least had thousands of fans at the very least. Alright, second up is The Salvatore by Jedox74, 12 plays and a score of 4. Please no spoilers in regards to that. I want to find out for myself tomorrow. And if I have time after the Viral Nightmare, I'll sample the demo of Deca Duck. Oh yeah, Ring Boomerang. When I do fully come back in March, well, I have some plans in store for streaming. But again, even though I won't be streaming, there are still 2 game premieres I am going to be showing. One of which is coming up this following week, in fact. One that Jaden has been looking forward to, but I won't say more. Slowly they descend into the volcanic depths of molten metal. Wait, I want that. Come back. Thank you. Okay, that's cool. Is that the... EXE Black, is that the one that just says... Is that the one that only had Axel as a playable character? When I say playable character, I mean only playable character. Because I know there was an X7 demake project, but that played entirely in 2D. With Hollow Knight I had a combination of the map itself being good. I didn't reconsider my GPS in that game, sorry. And no, why would I do after image? I just said new game. When I say new game, I mean new release. I'm not going to cover birthday releases unless it's special, and if it did, I would inform the person first. Oh my gosh, no! Laggy. I can't answer that question, Jaden. Oh my gosh. Okay, unlike most of Geox levels, this is going with a more... not exactly novel mechanic, but it certainly... feels higher tension. Let me see if I can find the name of that... Kind of an eerie level, but... I do wish that mechanic of the junk boss descending in the lava. I wish that was taken a bit further with one final section which goes on longer. But I can see why you didn't do it because that kind of lags the game. Hello. Oh. I can't get out. There. Looks like it's gonna be one of these battles. Oh boy. I don't know if this is actually the optimal way of doing this. Especially when he keeps trying to Goomba stomp me. Oh no. I think the center would have been the best option because it gives me a bit more leverage of moving left and right, thanks to tiptoeing. Okay, I can see why I got kind of a two negative votes here, but it's one of the more memorable stages. But again, I wish the main mechanic was... It's my common complaint throughout most stages I cover in Maker, but I say it still applies. And I wish it went a bit harder. Alright, I did tell EXE Black. Let me see if I can find that. Okay, I found the game. Are you referring to Mega Man Axel EXE Black by Dr. Doofus? Here's one of the videos they made. Is this the thing you're looking for, or we're thinking about? Anyways, like, that's the X7D make. Okay, so it's a different one. That's the only X7D make I know of. Like, I would actually like to see someone or someone else take a crack at remaking X7 or making a spiritual remake or successor to it. Because I honestly believe you can take the X series in a 3D direction, but my problem with X7 is, okay, putting aside the level design and that stuff, my issues have to do with like the general flow and how the game in general feels sluggish when it doesn't have to be. Like as we saw in Proto Droid Delta, X7 could have played a lot more faster paced and kept a much more solid flow. Unfortunately, trying to make a 3D game tends to require more time, resources, and effort compared to a 2D one. But hey, maybe we'll get one in sometime in the future. Who knows? I mean, not too long ago I did play 2 3DX games, which went in their own weird / interesting direction. Number 3 up is Shifting Castle by Tail Maniac. 33 plays and a score of 6. Ah, okay. The full title is New Super Mario Bros. U, Wendy's Shifting Castle. And heck, if a bunch of people were able to make... Excuse me. And hey, if a bunch of people were able to make a remake of Sonic 06 and fix most of its issues, or fix many of its issues and make it play a lot better, the same can be done with X6 and X7. Would have preferred a little bit more warning on the shifting block here. Okay. Oh my gosh. It looks like they have eyes. When these are up, it looks like they have eyes. That was a lucky one for me. Okay. Should have probably panned the camera down there. What's up this pipe? Roger. Congrats, Mike. Curious. But why? Hello? Oh, thanks. You're taking your sweet time. Something's down there then. Experience has taught me to explore these areas like that. I collected 3 star coins. And back up the pipe of travel. Hey, Sylv. Hey, Professor Tornado. Welcome to the stream. You have soup? That's wonderful. Send soup pics. Oh yeah, thank you for DMing me that image, Jaden. Alright, looks like it's boss time against Wendy. I mean, sure. I agree to that to a degree, EXE, but I even have more fundamental issues like, why is the game feel more sluggish than 2D? Well, I guess that has to do with level design. I also feel it has to do with loading times, too many objects on screen, and generally just decreasing the speed of movement. Like, now that I think about it more carefully, the movement speeds of X7 and X8 do feel similar. It's just that the level design in X8 is more compact, so stuff actually feels better that way. So it doesn't feel quite as sluggish. Yes, Sylv. I've talked about that twice already. I'm gonna be covering that tomorrow morning. Oh hey, Oscar. Long time no see. How's it been? I mean, this was sort of a replication of a level from NSMBU, but it feels kind of empty with the lack of enemies. So, yeah, it was just a nothing burger for me. I'm sorry. Where have you been, by the way? You suddenly disappeared and we kinda got worried about you. But yeah, thank you for your short description of Vivid Lope. Family drama and other things. If you know myself, I'm gonna start with Commander Yanmark. Then I'll pick up one of those two. Yes, some changes in the design philosophy would be necessary for a quote-unquote 3DX game, but the core aspects I think can still be maintained. I always just found DX games to be a more fast-paced, dynamic version of the classic games. And those can still be carried through. Without it turning into something like a quote-unquote character action game. Alright, fourth on the lineup is Mega Man and the Supernatural 4, Wily Haunted Castle 2 by La Patio. 49 plays, score 21. Yeah, definitely based then. Wait, I should reset it because it was a slight issue. Yeah, level design does amplify it due to size. Knockback in the back is annoying. I'll put it that way. I don't inherently dislike it, but you have to be careful how much you use it. I'll do it, Mike. Let me just finish this stage. The best part of Vivid Lope is the level design. That's wonderful. Cutting through the trash. From what I've seen, from the 8 people who I've seen play Viral Nightmare, they all say it's better than the base X6, although I need to see for myself because that's not really that hard to do IMO. Question is, did they actually make a game that's at the very least decent? Like, is it as good as X8 16-bit, is my question. Now don't get me wrong, I liked X8 16-bit, but not everybody did. Well, that's a good start, Sylph. Because X4 is my second favorite X game, so... Hit the switch, fail. Hit the switch, succeed, and jump off by accident. Oops. Oops. So this is a committal thing. Yeah, just be calm and you'll be fine. and goodbye. For Lopati's levels, I almost always want to play his base thanks to his dashing and double jumping, especially the latter. They're always so platformer focused. A platformer and an obstacle course. Oh, wow, that sounds brutal, Jaden. I'm not really into puzzle games, so I may hold off on that, but thank you for the heads up. Well, imagine doing that section without the dashing and double jumping. Let me in, let me in! Yeah, I'm out. Slash. Yes, let's slash it. Oh, come on. Oh, thank you, Beat. Well, that worked, I guess. Full refill of everything. I don't have Vice to make it easier. I see, it's one of those games which is... Don't see. It's one of those games which is excellently made, but it's also very demanding / punishing. I can think of a few games I'll be covering sometime in the future which would fit that definition. That's wonderful, Sylv. Self-actualization / realization is an ongoing process. Well, didn't hit. Right now, though, there are other games on the list on my to-play list I want to cover before that, including the birthday request that rolled over from last year, especially Sonic Rush. Again, when I do that, it's going to be more from a general perspective, not from my more veterans. It's not going to be to the same level of... I know it's funny saying this, but to the same level as thoroughness as when I cover Mega Man stuff, especially Classic and X. Like, Nine Souls is one of those games, but we'll see. In Nari 2, if I ever decide to cover the full game. Like, man, it took me, what, 2 hours to beat the Commander on hard mode? Oh my gosh. Got it. Oh no. Swing. Oh my gosh. Are you I didn't think you'd come back. Oh well, so... X6 is the quintessential good in concept, terrible in execution thing. I Yeah, I can see that. I see that. It was rushed to no end, and it really shows in pretty much every aspect of the game. Except maybe the music. Well, even some parts of the music. For example, the museum. Or was it the weapon lab? I don't know. Ground Scarevich's stage, whatever that's called. Oh, gosh. Okay. Yeah, I should've just rushed forward. Hello, Sonic Channel. Welcome to the stream. Man, do I wish I had some guard for that. Wait, Zero's playable? I thought it was only going to be playable in the next demo. Bosses are fine, eh? That's an interesting comment, but I'll get to that. Because see, from 7 of the 8 people I've watched, they say the bosses are more enjoyable. I like most of the stage tracks from X6, but Scarevich's team is so out of place it feels unfinished. Like, they only had one of the 4 major parts of the track and they just looped the first part over and over. It doesn't help because of the stage design. You may have to go through it multiple times due to the RNG involved, or what feels like RNG. Oh, talking about X4. Stages feel too short. Well, I agree and disagree. I feel with X4 they should have been a bit more heavy. They should have more heavily used the gimmicks and mechanics. It's... The way I describe X4 is, it's like, what if X1 was done again? Or X1 2, which is kind of funny. X1 2, but more anime. And with a more involved story. Because a lot of the level teams and mechanics are kind of plain, all things considered. Weapons are kind of eh. Bosses are, well, fine I guess. I'm just talking Buster only, of course. It's another case of where when Capcom made the jump to another system, they didn't go hard enough with it. Like, X4 is, I think, one of the more competently made X games, but it doesn't really try to push the needle that much, outside of its story, which itself, in regards to X4, I'm assuming you're saying that, Jaden. It's not so much less is more, it's more the case of they have enough space to do more. They have enough space to experiment more, but they didn't. And how do I know that? X1 and X3. Even X2, actually. Like, I think X1 is the better. X1 does a better job with its level and size scope. Oh no. Ah, yikes. Oh no, I didn't see that. Let me through. I've been stuck here for what feels like 10 minutes. Really, that's 5. If you're right at the corner of the quote-unquote car, you don't get hit by the Techion. Does anyone know what day it is? Saturday? Are you okay, Sonic Channel? Well, I do need to use it because I'm playing space, so I'm not complaining. Wow! 2 levels in a row by the patio where the hardest part of the stage is just before the boss fight. One of my common criticisms for many of the patio stages, especially the harder ones, is that the hardest section or the most advanced section is somewhere in the middle. Or somewhere between the first quarter and last 3/4 of the level. And yeah, it's Valentine's Day. No, I'm not making that joke. So Sylv is a super romantic. Our section was the last one, which did go on a bit lengthy, and playing as a base, I had that extra bit of leverage thanks to the double jump, but playing as another character was gonna be kind of brutal. Ooh. Especially once you get to the areas with the floating mines, because that lava ignores iframes, so if you're knocked in, you're almost gonna die. Almost certainly going to perish. One moment, and then we shall move on to the next level. Back I am. Let's see. Levels by Mike Gaming and Oscar1258 have been added to the queue. Yeah, with the other characters it becomes Died Kaizo. With base it becomes rather difficult. Go ahead, EXE Black. Start with elaboration. I have plenty of opinions to spare, but I want to make something clear. These are just my perspectives. I don't consider them necessarily to be objectively correct. Yeah, I'm interested to see who will be in the top 6 finalists for Dual Overrides. Regardless though, I'm excited for that game. Alright, fifth up is Dr. Wily's Fun Enemy Gauntlet of Pain, Practice Mode by Nuclear Stomp. 90 plays and a score of 6. One HP, eh? Oh boy, I see. Perfect run these enemies. And button mash to no end. So, perfect run enemy arenas, and because this is practice mode, there's a checkpoint before each and every encounter. And there are 2 of them there, so yeah. Hi, hotdog/render. I'll just safely stand over here and I'll be good. And fall off the easiest challenge. Wow, good job, me. On non-practice mode, do I have to do all this in one go? If that's the case, that's gonna be brutal. Wait, there was ice there? No, thank you, Yoku. So, I am forced to get out. There. I am free. Graphics and art style is very charming. It kind of reminds me of Vib Ribbon. If anyone remembers that game. Fish. Oh. Weakest part is the game's script, which is basically like a series of jokes. I see. Oh, pfft. I was paying more attention to the gabiole and the fire. Oh, wait, I have a charge shot? Darn it. Stacking 2 of them so they are a little bit more bulky. Ow, my leg! Five deaths onwards. Hi, kitty. Hi, kitty. Brandon Pitt so he can potentially fall then. Oh no. Not the ring hop spot. Not the ring hopscotch. I was gonna say hawkscotch. 1. No, don't pull me out. Wow, that was rude. And hilarious. Power Muscler. I was able to damage race them successfully. Chicken. Yeah, I know this is basically a series of enemy arenas, but the fact that each arena, even if it stars 1 or 2 enemies, they are different, so that changes things up a bit. Ow, my foot. Ow, my head. Oh, it's lagging for you? One more. Let me out! Triple seal. I got a snowball thrown in my face. And... Gotta love the easy button. My bad. Sick dodge. Tires. Let me out. At least I don't need to dispatch all these enemies before the door opens. Unlike mid-bosses. Minor bit of cheese, but this is already difficult enough, so I'm not complaining. And some of these might as well just count as mid-bosses. Oh no. Make sure to keep jumping and properly spacing yourself. Speaking of proper spacing... I got triple hit. I got baseballed, bulldozed, and lasered. Not gonna lie, I thought this was gonna be more basic, but this is one of the more interesting levels of the stream and month. This is my honorable mention then. Again, I would like... On one hand, I'd like to see it go harder, but I only have 1 HP, and if it really goes harder, it's gonna turn to Diet Kaiser or Kaizo fairly quickly. It isn't right now, but it's a delicate balancing act. Gory. Actually, not too bad because they never change their trajectory. But still. Thank you for giving me the first few strikes. No clue how close I am to the end, though. I guess they couldn't put this in the same room, so they had to move it back into separate rooms. Yeah, it has very, very frequent checkpoints. I guess it's because it's called practice mode. If it wasn't practice, oh my gosh. Then it would turn kind of into... Then I could see it turning sort of into a Diet Kaizo, depending on the setups. Depending on which setups are featured and when. It's 12, 15, 18, 21, 24, 27, 28. Oh my gosh. I got spaced out. I jumped too high. That helicopter is gonna try spacing me out, and these things are just gonna try crushing me. Okay. Well, I suppose Bubbleman's one of the better bosses to keep isolated. With Toadman, you have to keep shooting him, otherwise he'll just rain flush you. When you get the timing down, it's pretty funny. But I don't think this is over yet. Oh yeah. Can I even hit them from up down there? I could do it the funny way and just defeat Wily, but the fast way is just to hit the pick up the energy element. Yes, I can. He does have to cooperate enough. The music change is pretty funny. Yes, I know I can finish the stage first, but I want to do it the funny way. Alright, Wily. A novel stage, which I thought was going to be more boring because I thought it was just going to be regular enemies and individualized arenas that were just squares. But there's actually some careful effort put to change the enemy configurations as well as the arenas to make them feel different from each other. Plus, being forced to perfect run them removes the strategy of being able to just damage boost, so yeah. Hardest boss in Mega Man 4, Death by Rain. Acid Rain to be specific. Okay, you were saying something, EXT Black. Could you come back and complete the thought? Okay, Jaden. I'll see you tomorrow for Viral Nightmare as well as Decaduck. I advise you come back at least for the remake because there are some interesting things I'd like to discuss in regards to fan remakes and reimagining things to be potentially better. Like, we had sort of had this discussion during X8 16-bit, but with Viral Outbreak or Viral Nightmare, it becomes more pertinent. Anyways, hang on. One moment. Alright, so sixth stop is Blade Master. Sixth stop is Blade Master Intro Stage by Mike Gamer. 3 plays and a score of 3. Ah yes, welcome back to the Outback for the 3rd time. My comments are probably going to be the same as before, not gonna lie. Or Project 06, Jaden. With AM2R and Rayman Redemption, at least the games they're remakes of, they're not bad. With Viral Nightmare and Project 06, the games they're based on are very lackluster, to put it one way. And Project 06 has done an amazing job at rectifying many of the issues of the base game. Do I think it's good? On my personal basis, no, but that's because I don't like a lot of level design in 06. So we'll see. Yeah, for an interest, for those who didn't appear for those 2 times I covered the stage before, most of the time when we have an intro stage for a fan game level, most of the time when we have an intro stage for a level pack in Maker, they tend to introduce some basic mechanics or assume the player barely played Maker stages before, so they end up being like baby steps and barely explore anything, looking relatively basic and uninspired. This stage is not like that because it assumes players have actually played a bunch of Mega Man levels or games before, and instead focuses on a base set of challenges that will be expanded upon further, and in itself could stand on its own as a level. As in, the level itself isn't just baby basics or something to be forgotten about once you get to the real meat of the pack. No, this can stand on itself. And also, it's not a city level, it's a mine level, or an outback level. Metroid 2 may be meh, but it wasn't bad. I agree with the first half of your statement, Jaden. I disagree with the... Oh, wait. I agree with the first half of your statement, Jaden. I don't agree with the second half. If you want a series that's closer to live support, see Mega Man. I was more referring... When I was referring to that discussion, I was more referring to, well, other fan levels from Maker, but 7 had an... I say the better... So the best introductory stage, I would say, is X1, because that inspired those. 7 is kind of but it does a decent job for the story. 8 does a better job with the level design, and teaching what you need to know for later. Base's intro stage is it is an intro stage, sure, but oh my gosh, it really assumes that he played a Mega Man game before because of how it just pulls off. Like, N-Base's intro stage doesn't quite feel the same as the other intro stages because it really just feels like more of a first stage to show how brutal the game will be because of how it keeps pulling back elements from previous stages, from previous Mega Man games. Whereas 7 and 8 are more geared towards familiarizing yourself and easing you into the experience, and not making the assumption that you've played a Mega Man game before. That's the key difference. With 7, 8, and X1, there is a bit of an assumption that you may have not necessarily played a Mega Man game before. It helps, sure, but the level design challenges are based around that fact. Whereas with N-Base, that assumption is thrown out the window because I would never recommend that intro stage to newcomers. No. It's in the Canyon base level. Gotcha. But yeah, I want to get back to the point, Jaden, because I didn't see your response. I disagree that the Sonic franchise is on live support. No. If you're talking back in that era, sure, following the release of 06, maybe Unleashed, but nowadays, no. With how successful the movies and Frontiers were, also Cross Worlds, even though it didn't quite hit the sales quota they're hoping for, that doesn't sound like live support to me. As a matter of fact, can you explain why you think that, from your perspective, it's on live support? Right. Ow. Like, I feel like I'm missing something. Oh yeah, and Shadow Generations, which I dare say, looking at all the reception, it's by far the best boost game. I think the key word was, it was, but the time it was back then, the time it was back in 06. But post 06. I know the series was kind of in another kind of mini Dark Ages Falling Forces, but Mania was still carrying the franchise quite a bit. And nowadays, it's a lot more diverse of where people are coming into the series, so no. Like right now, Mega Man is closer to being in the live support if you don't count re-releases. Like, as much as I'm hyping up Dual Override, I don't know if it's going to be good. Yeah. Yeah, it also helps that Shadow Generations playstyle is a bit different. And controls better, arguably. Dark Ages was falling. I would say the Dark Ages really began during 06 and a few years later. Up to, and it ended. See, it's a bit complicated to talk about Dark Ages because that is a very console-centric view. If you count the portable games, then it's a bit different. Like, at least in the console, the Dark Ages began, I would say, they really started with 06, but the Dark Cloud started forming with the heroes, and especially became noticeable with Shadow 05, and, well, 06 happened, and we kind of escaped from it, the franchise, following the release of Colors. Even though Colors Wii is not exactly the superior version of the game. If you count the portable games in the Sonic franchise, then there was never a Dark Age, I'd say. Maybe Grey Ages, sure, but Okay, this is different. We're now going deeper into Canyon Base. As much as I like having a Mega Man 12, what I really want to see is Mega Man X9. Zero Series is done, we don't need to get back to that. But I would really like to see an X9, finishing up ZX, and of course, Legends, M. Star Force, that ended off on a good note too, but 4 would be nice. Or even something different. Yeah, what the heck's happening with the Yakuza series? Like... Kiwami Tree plus Dark Ties seems to have made some very questionable series of decisions, which I really don't understand why it ended up being that way. You would think that with the standard and the scaffolding the set with Kiwami 1 and 2 as well as 0, they would have been able to get it right, but I don't know. I mean, I'm actually gonna play it, but I'm gonna play the remastered version of Tree. And thank you for that, Jaden. Oh yeah, I forgot about rivals. I would argue Dark Ages were Shadow 05, 06, Unleashed. Storybook is a kind of part of it, yeah. Really ended with Colors. You can also include Heroes there and I wouldn't complain. I don't know if normal route, but more comedic and lighthearted. Normal, see, I think Colors is more comedic than Sonic was back in the classic days. Like, there was a certain level of seriousness, even the classic era of Sonic, even if it was playful. Colors just really dialed it up to the lighthearted comedy levels. Which did cause a bit of an issue in Lost World, but that's a different story. Okay, so this stage was mostly the same as before, but following the battle against Gutsman, that's where the changes really started. That's where he delved into the canyon base itself and then fought the machine at the bottom. Like I said before, this does not feel like a traditional intro stage to level pack. This feels more like a standalone level that could be extended, that carries over to something else. Which is to say that it's not one and done, because as good as a few intro stages, for the very few good intro stages there are for level packs in Maker, even if they do a good job at what they're supposed to do, they often get forgotten about because they're overshadowed by the actual RM stages following them. This one, though, decides to go into more of a direction of what Mega Man Base does. And because of that, it more or less stands better on its own 2 feet. Duty exit back. So all in all, initially when I covered this a month ago or 2 months ago, I was worried this is going to be another one of those blah intro stages, but color me surprised. Even from the work in progress version, you have something more special. Thumbs up. Hit me. I mean, there's a whole discussion about unnecessary remakes as well. I think Tree would have benefited from a remake, maybe 4, but as evidenced by the dedicated fan base and critical reception, that's not how you do it. Again, it baffles me that because 1 and 2 were almost perfect. I know they have their issues as well, especially with the frame rates, and some of the internal stuff, but overall, oh hey Buster, Wait a second. I need to respond to EXE Black once they finish posting the message. I like how you just showed up right in the middle, Buster. So, give me a second. I'm gonna read through it now. Okay. Let me see that. EXE Black says, most best hard Mega Man games. Into an abusive relationship? Okay. Oh, hi Queen Monica. Hello. How's it going in your neck of the woods? It's been a while. I'm trying to figure hang on, Buster. I'm trying to figure out the way I want to think about this. I think it'd be better if I work in this in reverse, because I agree with some parts of it, but I don't agree with the other phrasing. I feel it'll be easier if I pick apart what I agree with more, then I go to what I disagree with. I agree that in a good Mega Man game, every level that's beaten is a good. It does discharge dopamine, or to put it another way, it discharges a sense of satisfaction. Like you bested at a decent or tough challenge and persevered in the end. However, where I disagree with is with the phrasing of how the hard Mega Man games put you into an abusive relationship. Like, saying a game actively hates you is different than saying it actively is difficult. Like, for example, take Celeste. I consider that to be very difficult, but I wouldn't say it actively hates the player. As a matter of fact, it tries to help. It helps them their best to keep going, to persevere. And I guess this is a matter of phrasing, because most of the time, the best game, I'm going to say this from the perspective of platformers, players feel satisfied at beating a difficult challenge, because a fair, difficult challenge, as it tests their skills and understanding the game's mechanics, and well, in general, people like overcoming something that's fair but difficult. Most people. And also, saying a game is hard doesn't necessarily mean it's enjoyable. Just as saying a game that's enjoyable isn't necessarily hard. A game can be hard and / or enjoyable. Let's see here. Your house just recovered from the cold snap. You lost heat for 3 days and your pipes blew up because of it. Ooh. Darn. That is brutal. Darn, I hope you're doing a lot better now. Stay safe. Like, I am also biased towards difficult and rewarding challenges. I think what's happening here is we're talking about the same thing, but we're describing it very differently. Like, I've played games that seem to actively hate the player, and then I've also played games which are absolutely difficult but don't outright go out of their way to hate the player. Like, the best sort of game tries its best to be, from my perspective, your mileage may vary on this, I think the best sort of games and challenges try their best to explain their mechanics and offer a quote-unquote fair playing field. Or at least a playing field that the players can even out. And ideally, you want the players to feel that the reason why they failed is more the fault on them. And when I say the fault of them, I mean in a more encouraging way. Like, it doesn't have to gaslight the player. That implies that if you say gaslight the player into thinking the death's their fault, that implies that the death isn't their fault. Like, I know I've brought up this point multiple times before, and I know Jane has heard about it before too. People overestimate how much the players have to say, get good at Dark Souls. Mainly referring to 1 here. Dark Souls 1 is a difficult and somewhat punishing game, but a lot of the reason for why Dark Souls felt quite punishing to players is because they weren't quite used to the systems and tricks it pulled. If you played the game as the devs intended it to be, like more slow and methodical for the first runs and then being more daring, it becomes a lot more manageable. If you rush forward, in general, in Dark Souls, if you rush forward, you're punished. It rewards you for being slow and attentive. Or at the very least, attentive. I know it has some really jerkish places too, see the swamps, but then we'll put that away. But overall, I don't say it actively hates the player. I already brought up Celeste and how encouraging it is. Noctis is one of those examples where I don't think it outright dislikes the player, because if it did, they wouldn't make the checkpoints so frequent or how the light posts work. Or offer any avenue of ways to get back your items. Now, I have issues with, for example, distinguishing the background from the foreground, but that was more because of an developer-artist incompetence, or not talking with each other, which was fixed in the sequel in development. Yeah, having your own home is awesome, but it is pricey. Like, if you treat a Souls-like a hack and slash, or like many, I feel that's also a lot of the issue is that many players, when they first went into the first Dark Souls or even Demon Souls, they treated it more like a hack and slash or more of a conventional third-person action RPG and were punished severely for that. That is not how you're supposed to play those. The important, especially in how in Dark Souls, one-on-one encounters, trash mobs can actually, or should I say, the quote-unquote trash mobs or basic enemies can actually pose a challenge, and unlike many other 3D action RPGs or hack and slash games, finding more than one enemy at a time is dangerous. Usually in those sorts of games, it's the mid-bosses or bosses or lead enemies which are the problematic ones, but in Souls-likes, more than one is dangerous. Yeah, game gaslighting is stuff more like RNG checks, or worse, swapping rules around or the like without telling the player. RNG checks are a little bit more, it depends, but swapping around the rules, that is, I have more irksome things about that. That's another funny thing, Jaden. Sorry for the 15-minute diatribe. I'll get back to Oscar's level in a moment. Dark Souls, Demon Souls harken back to Kingsfield, but that itself is quite reminiscent of the era of where, in early hack and slashes, many of them, fighting more than one or two enemies at a time is dangerous. Either because deliberate design or because clumsiness. Yeah, the early game skeletons in Dark Souls are actually... you have to pay attention to them. Dynasty Warriors is in its own category, I'd say. Musou games are... I like to hold off Musou games in their own category because... they go way further in the other direction of the sheer number of enemies you fight, or hostiles, versus something like Devil May Cry. Like, Devil May Cry is a better example of a comparison with that. Ragebound is awesome. Like, I know the Games Kitchen took their experience from Blasphemous 1 and 2 and it really shows in both in obvious and not so obvious ways. Like, it's one of those games where I pretty much have no criticisms of the level design because pretty much everything feels fair. As a matter of fact, even getting hit by burrs, which was almost certainly instant death in many cases in the original games, is a lot more fair in Ragebound because you can jump out of it. You can jump out of knockback. As a matter of fact, you can pull out some really funny moves because of that. Yeah, I wish Jay Butters was here. They have a lot to say too. It also helps in Ragebound you can modify the difficulty yourself and determine what rules you want to go by. Shinobi and Ninja Gaiden are interesting ninja games to compare against because they also went for kind of different vibes too. Like, there are some moments which are kind of iffy in Ragebound, but there are ways to mitigate them. But they give players quite a bit more freedom than the OG Ninja Gaiden games, and that goes quite a bit of ways to make it fair. Like, I honestly say that the original Ninja Gaiden had some... it kind of suffered from some design issues, especially... I'm not going to count what they did for the final stage because that was just pure BS, but in general things about the placement of enemies, the knockback, it resulted in a rather inconsistent difficulty curve and rather over-punishing design. That was sort of fixed in 2 and 3, but Ragebound, it really doesn't suffer from most of them. Plus, also Infinite Lives and fair checkpoint placements help. I was more afraid to Ninja Gaiden 2 and 3. Shinobi is also interesting, but I always felt like the original Shinobi was... Revenge of Shinobi was also more fair than the original Ninja Gaiden, but... I was gonna say original Shinobi, but that's an arcade game. Okay, I'm gonna take a short pause from the discussion on difficulty, punishingness, and how to design good levels and satisfying games to cover one of Oscar's stages. would modify the statement a bit to say, I would describe the difficulty of Ninja Gaiden NES as random hot peppers. Sometimes they'll be mild, sometimes they'll be really spicy. You don't know when it's gonna be where. That's wonderful. Before purchasing the game, I still advise watching a playthrough of a little bit of a playthrough of Ragebound to see if it's enjoyable. So, 7th up is NES Excite Bike Challenge by Oscar, 47 plays and a score of 13. I'm happy we actually have more notable discussion topics compared to last week. Like last week, the only interesting Oh. Okay, we're racing already. Like last week, the only real notable thing was Megalocephalo, I'd say. Oh no, they're catching up! Huh? What? What happened? And it's not just because you're here, it's because EXC Black raised the conversation. Despite me not quite agreeing with your phrasing, I do appreciate you raised that topic. It is important for designing satisfying games. And not just because of you, you and Jaden, also Sylv, Queen Monica, Buster, and all of you other. What's with the sudden lag spikes? Seriously. Is Nitro Man cheating again? Like, this is getting really unplayable with how this is working. Imagine if it decides to go back to regular speed in the middle of a jump like that. Cope. I am not sure why it's like this stage is lagging so much at random spots. Like, it does help for the spike section, sure, but there it happened. I've played all the numbered Mega Man Classic games, also including N-Base and the world titles, plus at least 4,000 maker stages, so my perspective is colored based on that. Not to mention all the numbered X games, numerical, Extreme 1, and a whole host of indie games that are directly inspired or indirectly inspired by the Mega Man series. Oh, Mega Man 11? Oh, wait. Can I make it? Phew. Okay, I'm safe now. Oh. Oh, no. Oh, whoa, whoa, whoa. That is fair, Jaden. What do I think of Mega Man 11? It is my favorite Mega Man Classic game, tied with 4. Although, I'd actually put it above 4 in a few categories. I dare say it's the best showcase of Mega Man Classic self-design. It's one of the best showcases of Mega Man Classic's level design, boss design, and weapon design, in both obvious and not so obvious ways. I'm excited for 12? Well, absolutely. Hi. Oh my gosh. Okay, this is solid ground. I wasn't actually sure. We win! Oh my gosh, I thought there was gonna be a death pit or something. But nonetheless, Nitro Man still won the race. What was with this stage's lag though? I am... Typically I expect stages to lag at consistent intervals, but here it was completely random and it's not like there were a lot of on-screen enemies. How did you design the stage, Oscar? Like, I'm genuinely asking, how did this happen? When was the last time we played 4? Last month? I only mail longs. Well, there goes. Here's your unintentionally hilarious comment of the day. Like, I still think, the more I think about it, I like, the reason why 11 isn't just straight up better, the reason why I don't just straight up place 11 over 4 is really two things. One, the music isn't quite as good as 4, but that's more due to the instrumentation. And second, the Wily Fortress, the first stage is fine, the second stage is half fine, but after that it just, it feels like they ran out of the budget from Wily Stage 2 and onwards. If those problems were rectified in my book, easily best of the classic game. Like, if you're just comparing the Roadmaster stages, 11 easily comes through. I already expressed the Mixie Black. I honestly think that the second half of the NES, I honestly think that the second half of the NES games are underrated, TBH, especially 4 and 6. I am overuse of decorations? Huh. Like, before I move off the point for Mega Man 11, one of my things about looking back at the series of the Mega Man Classic, especially pre-10, I'd say, but maybe I should say pre-11, a lot of the level... We talk a lot about how the best way to make a Mega Man Classic stage is to introduce challenges in relatively isolated environments, gradually escalating the challenge / complexity with them, and then slowly combining them, and then putting them together in more advanced configurations. before ending off in a climax, wrapping off the stage in a bow, with teaching the player, basically testing the player what they learned throughout the stage based off of most of the mechanics and enemies and what have you, before finishing off with a boss fight, which may or may not include one of the central mechanics for the stage, or gimmicks, or level objects. However, looking back, most stages in Mega Man Classic don't actually do that pre-11. They may include level objects or gimmicks, what have you, as a central mechanic, but they don't quite elaborate on them in the same way we expect out of fan game levels. Or even if they do, the climax is just eh. It really feels more like in many cases like a spectacle, or to make the stage a bit more novel, which are okay, yes, but they reduce the amount of replayability. That's why, for example, I say Mega Man 4 was a step forward from Mega Man 1 through 3, because they actually tried iterating more on the mechanics and having a balanced weapon set. Well, mostly balanced weapon set. But they never quite hit the standard we expect out of fan games until about 11, where every stage follows this standard to one degree or another, while still feeling distinct. It really feels like they learned from the shortcomings of previous Mega Man Classic games, or even X games too. But that's just me. I think music matters, but the thing with me is that 4 and 11 are close to each other, so that's why one pushes. That's why one doesn't just completely outclass the other. Six was a step forward and a step back, I don't know. But again, it's Regardless, I still leave the option over to people to just play. I say just play 4 and 11. It's one of the cases of, hooray, 2 cakes. I mean, if they keep going in the direction of 11 with 12, I'm gonna be happy. I don't know if I'd say so much better, but I don't know. It's the one case. I know there's quality over quantity, but there's also a importance of balance. Like, don't get me wrong, I have issues with 4, for example, with some of the boss design, like the extraordinary conic damage for all the bosses. The very slow boss life bar fill up. Some wonky fortress boss designs. Oh no, you did it, EXE Black. Now Buster's gonna post a 500-word essay ranting about it and criticizing you. Alright, it was nice knowing you. I was gonna initially say 2,000 word, but YouTube would complain about that. Goodbye, Jaden. We'll see you on the other side tonight. STGU. I like that. Shut the gas up. Five was mediocre but fun, yeah. Regardless of what I say, I still like 6. Alright, 8 up is Fix It Feel Like Junior Arcade Challenge by Oscar. 27 plays and a score of 10. Sorry to interrupt the stream of discussing game-related topics with Mega Man levels. Don't worry, I'll get back to another 10-minute diatribe. Oh, right. I gotta clean out each floor. Or fix each floor. By whacking it with my broom. I need to rewatch Wreck-It Ralph. Well, there's Wreck-It Ralph. Meanwhile, Roll just trips off the ladder and perishes. This is why you have a spotter when trying to climb up ladders, otherwise this may happen. Okay, now let's do this the optimal way. Sure. This time, let's not trip over the ladder. Okay. We want to do it this way? We'll do it this way. Alright, we're at the top. The rest of the gang are here. We're throwing them off, except Eddie. Oh! You beat Mega Man 1 on stream by singing until you beat it. It took 56 minutes. That is impressive because of... I can imagine how difficult it is to split your attention between those two things. Props. It's Mega Man 6. I'm gonna go wreck it. I guess it's a somewhat accurate, but if you perish, you have to start from the beginning, so, yeah. Alright, time to scroll down and see what's been said. Don't worry, Sylv. I've already been warned, like, 200 times. I've only seen bits and pieces, and I'm happy. Wreck-It Eevee. I mean... No, I'm not gonna do that. It's too mean-spirited. I'm not gonna give my thoughts to Mega Man 9 again here because you all know about 9 already, and I don't have to repeat it every single time. I'll give it when I cover Mega Man 9 during the Mega Man Marathon, Part 3. All I'm saying is, I don't hate it. I enjoy my time with the game for the most part, but I can understand its flaws. And that's all I'll say about this. By this point, pretty much everybody here has made up their mind on 9, so I don't bother just debating it here. It's like beating a dead horse. I think 10 is technically better than 9. Well, not technically. I found 10 to be better than 9, but we'll talk about that again later. You'd rather pick X7 the third time instead of Wreck-It Ralph 2. You know, Selv, I know I make jokes about that, but honestly, that considering its reception, maybe X7 is actually a better experience. I hate to say that you may be right. We'll probably have a third one. Hopefully this time they... I understand, yeah, I can see behind 2, but, yeah. We're all weirdos in our own ways. Yes, Buster's note meal. Or not Mel. And I just find masochism and sadism to be a spectrum. You should have seen the number of people who thought I was sadistic when I was designing my Magmo 2 level. Or, more specifically, my 48-hour level. That was more due to me overestimating the skill set and not having actual playtesters. This is the reason why, for example, I'll only go up to Diet Kaizo, but even then, it's iffy. I enjoy pain to a certain degree, but not all kinds of pain I rank the same. Life is bread. Yum. Yeah, define normal. Being weird is normal since, time Well, being normal has been more accepted since the 2010s, thanks to Neo's sincerity. I'll not comment on what happened in the other half of that decade, though. We're all weird in our own special ways. Oh my gosh, 20 chat messages just popped up. Give me a moment. There are many reasons why current year is a cursed year. I'm not gonna say that the game from over a decade ago is reason for that. I have better time to spend than that. And Joe or Jordan, if you're watching this, you know exactly what I'm referring to. Don't worry, I'll take a break and cover a level. Part of the reason why I'm taking so many breaks here is because, oh yeah, I'm taking my annual vacation start from streaming on Monday, so I do want to finish off these live discussion topics before, I go there. Because most people seem to have these discussions during stream before, as opposed to on the Discord channel or Blue Sky. Yeah, Mega Man 9 is what I consider to be Mega Man 2 2nd edition. Do I like it more than 2? Yeah. But you know what it is. Second best weapon set. I say it's one of the best. I'd say it's one of the better weapon sets, but it is. Most of the weapons are overtuned there, which are fun to use, but they kind of destroy the challenge if you decide to use multiple of them. So again, your mileage may vary on that. Mega Man 10 is the opposite problem. Oh yeah, I'm okay with dumping the charge shot, but the lack of slide is noticeable in 9. I really miss that. Like, ever since the slide was added in 3, it really improved the stage flow, I would say, and added some risk versus reward for going faster. Ten also has more interesting level tropes, but I'm using but too much. But what? Whoa, there, Sylph. I don't think Jaden no, Sylph. First, Jaden actually left the stream already. Second, they don't draw furry art. If they did, then sure. Oh yeah, I don't really like the weapon set of 5. They need many of them need upgrades, which other games have fixed, like Maker. I don't agree it's absolutely bad, but it's subpar. Not helped by the fact that a charge shot in 5 is excellent. Great. I would down-tune many of the weapons in 9, but they're in a more than good place. I need to rank the stages. I found 5 to be more enjoyable than 9, but I don't know if I consider it to be better because that's we're trying to rank fun versus quality, and that's if you know me, you know how much I don't quite like the challenges in 9 and I prefer 5's challenges, but I need to ruminate on that more. Yeah, Star Crash is the... Maker fixed it by turning it more into a utility option. The funny thing is, I don't... Despite playing so many Mega Man games and covering over 4,000 levels in Maker, I don't even consider myself to be a hardcore Mega Man player. I consider myself to be more of a core veteran. Core because between casual and hardcore, veteran because I played so many games. I consider myself hardcore if I routinely gone for Died Kaizo or Kaizo stages and actually played more of the games that aren't just part of the mainline series and knew more about the game and knew more about the trivia and actually read the Archie comics, which I've been pushing off for too long and I really should do. Not to mention the fanfics Redacted 1 and Redacted 2. Okay, furry Jason Sylve. Okay, furry and furry Jason Sylve. Jaden doesn't really do furry Jason stuff. They're full on the anime side. And, well... Yeah, that's also another sorry. That's also another important point of having a good selection of playtesters from different skill sets is important, especially depending like it's important to have playtesters from your target audience and also those from not quite inside your target audience. Like you want to properly represent who you're targeting, so a wide berth is usually a good idea. The reason why I hold them a bit separately is because quality is a quote-unquote more quote-unquote objective metric, whereas fun is a more quote-unquote subjective metric. I know, a lot of quotes here. Because fun is also affected by more than just the game. It's also affected, for example, by factors not for example, it's affected also by many factors that are not directly related to the game itself, like did you play other games in the series or franchise? Have you played other fan works before? How experienced are you with the game? Do you like these sorts of challenges in the game? How experienced are you with this genre? How are you feeling before you played the game? Are you up for playing it? Are you playing it for yourself? Are you streaming it? Also, are you playing it with a group of friends? Or are you playing this by itself or with another game at the same time? There are confluence of other factors that affect the quote-unquote fun you have from a game that aren't just directly related to the game, and I know. It's better if you can isolate to just the game itself, but it's difficult. I think quality does translate to fun, but it's not like a... I think better quality games are more fun, but just because a game is better designed doesn't necessarily mean that players will necessarily find it more enjoyable, because in addition to things I said, it could also be the case where the players, I'm taking a 10-mile view here, it could also be the case that the player doesn't necessarily like the games in that subgenre. That's why there's a bit of separation there. Anyways, because I'll be heading out in 20 minutes or so, I'm gonna do Oscar's level. One more level by Oscar and one level from the most popular queue, and then I'll finish off. But before that, short pause. And I returned. Alright. Ninth up is Block Ball Target Madness by Oscar. 24 plays and a score of 8. Not carrot. Uh-oh. I done it. I'm dead. Goodbye. Okay, don't fall off then. Huh? What? How did that happen this time? Oh, I see it. The ball itself can hit the switch. No. Are you... How do I do this then? Shoot the enemy. Okay, that's... You mean the bouncy ball. Oh, no, that's not it. I have to hit the ball. Silly me. I forgot this is how this one functions. I'm dead. Wait, shoot the Glorious base? Seriously? That'd take 56 shots. No. Ah, darn raccoon. That sucks. This is based off of angling, so... Yes. Yes! I done it! Base now dances. You can go by and set it off and destroy the gory. GG. Fun gimmick. Okay, that was a fun way to finish that off. See, I want to cover something by someone who is in like the Forte or Rock and Roll 555. I don't really cover stuff at Player 77, so let's do it. Do I have the time? Okay, this will be the last one. So the 10th and final level of the stream is Absolute Zero Bunker by Player 77, 64 plays and a score 27. I want to make something clear. Regardless of how many times I may push back on your points or just be befuddled, especially with certain users, I still thoroughly enjoy streaming. I may get frustrated from time to time, but I still find the experience enlightening. Like, if I didn't like Mega Man, I wouldn't be streaming Mega Man Maker for, what is it, 7-8 years now? As well as all these Mega Man ROM hacks and fan games that aren't necessarily the best designed. I may have issues in many games, but I just really appreciate that so many people spend their spare free time and effort to make these games. I just find it so encouraging that even when Capcom hasn't always handled the series the best, fans have been there to spend their free time and energy in order to make these experiences, and in that sense, I can't complain that much. Thanks. Probably should have used the time blocks instead, but that way you can activate it any time. I still wonder how using the Bright Stopper allows me to shoot through the shield if they never even raised it. Excuse me. Thank you. If they never even lowered the shield or raised it. Excuse me. Way forwards or... it's way forwards. So much for freebie. That's another rant I'll have, but I will spare you the details. Vitamin E. It's a rant that more properly applies to fan games though, not so much individual levels like this. Again, it'd be better if you just use the time blocks for this. You forgot to remove this, so I'm just gonna use it. Come on, at least make it. Come on, at least make me go through a longer gauntlet for that. Yeah, this is kind of a bummer. It was a very tepid stage, and unlike, for example, more Jethawk's more elaborate rompy levels, this didn't really have the more creative visuals, or at least somewhat more novel mechanics. But such as such for most of the levels that are featured on this queue. Goodbye. Yoink. Sorry. So overall, of the 10 Veersmith levels I covered, well, 9 plus 1 levels I covered on today's morning stream, my favorite one would certainly be Infernal Depths by Sunflower Azumarill, with 2 honorable mentions, going to Wily's Fun Enemy Gauntlet of Pain Practice Mode by Nuclear Stomp, as well as Blade Master Intro Stage by Mike Gaming 954. Being a bit generous here, so I'll give 2. And thank you to everyone else who submitted their levels to me, or were featured. It's really appreciated. Now, before I end off the stream, art showcase time. A doodle from Popcorn Master 42, Stickman, with a tie and a hat, grin. Critter and Donkey Kong render by Yin Yang Geo, BG by Toei. Yes, the fan game has been in development for how long now? I'm curious how it's going to turn out. Whoa, this looks a bit off-putting with that render. I'm gonna ignore that. Yeah, I'm gonna have to DM about that. Star Detective is gonna be ahead, so will the Kong's Return. Donkey Kong Country 4, the Kong's Return. Barrel Blasting on the way, 2026. It seems like the start of a horror bit, or a stop-and-go station. I'm assuming you mean Precure Star Detective. Mario's brand new adventure, Super Mario Galaxy movie, coming out later this year. Is that a Chaos Emerald in the bottom left? Yoshi, shiny big teeth. Whoa, what happened to your face, Yoshi? Or head? That looks a bit, Do they have something in their mouth? Roll enjoys drinking coffee. Secret of... Oh. I see. Fleetway Supersonic versus God Robotnik. Oh, the Fleetway Sonic comics are their own bucket of their own rabbit hole. Nicely done. Thank you for sharing your art, Oscar. Alrighty then, this concludes the stream. In about 5.5 hours, I'll return and cover or sample the level pack Mega Man Hermione's Attack by Tedley 11. The next time I'll be covering a level pack, the next time I'll be covering a regular stream or a selection of levels will probably be in about 2 or 3 weeks, and it'll be a pre-recorded episode. So I'll see you either in a few hours or tomorrow morning for Viral Nightmare. In any case, thank you to everybody who's either submitted levels, submitted their art, or simply participated in chat. It's thanks to your continued support why I continue to produce new content for the channels. It's really appreciated. So, if you're enjoying this or any other video or stream on the channels, please rate, comment, favorite, and or subscribe, as they all help them out. Don't forget to follow me on Blue Sky and Mastodon as well, and join my Discord server, as I regularly post updates there. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope to see you all in a future Let's